Welcome to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We are really glad you're joining us for this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one.
Have you ever stopped to think about how much weight a single word can carry? And I don't mean some complex, multisyllabic piece of academic jargon. Just one short, incredibly common, everyday combination of letters.
Right. The kind of word you don't even think about using.
Exactly.
Mm.
Today, we're looking at a specific five-letter word that you definitely know. You use it. And if we're being completely honest with ourselves, you probably cringe just a little bit when you hear it. That word is roach.
It really is a word that instantly provokes this visceral reaction. I mean, when you hear it, your mind immediately goes to a very specific, scurrying place.
Usually somewhere near the refrigerator at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. But the reality of this word, the actual linguistic footprint it leaves behind, is so much broader, and frankly, it's so much stranger than that initial instinct.
And that brings us to the entire mission of our deep dive today. We are looking at the Wikipedia disambiguation page for the word roach.
Which is quite the document.
It really is. Now, if you aren't super familiar with the mechanics of Wikipedia, a disambiguation page is basically the internet's way of playing traffic cop. It's a directory that routes you to all the different articles that happen to share the exact same title.
You type in a word, and the site basically says, hold on, which one did you mean?
Right. And the disambiguation page for Roach is this absolute sprawling map of human experience. We're going to unpack how this single word stretches across the animal kingdom, forgotten geography, pop culture, niche technical fields, and even international law. Okay, let's unpack this.
You know, disambiguation pages are, in a lot of ways, these accidental monuments to human language. They aren't written as cohesive narratives at all.
They're literally just lists.
Exactly, lists designed for navigation. But when you look at them closely, they show how a single string of letters, purely by coincidence or maybe historical drift, can mean wildly different things depending on where you are standing and what you happen to do for a living.
It's like an archaeological dig.
It is. They act like an archaeological dig of human priorities. It reminds us that language is incredibly messy, highly adaptable, and constantly being recycled.
Well, let's start that dig in the natural world.
Yeah.
Because we have to acknowledge the insect in the room right off the bat.
Yeah, we can't ignore it.
When I say the word roach, the very first thing you picture is a cockroach. According to our source material, that represents various insect species in the scientific order Bladodea,
The ultimate survivors.
the household pest we all know and generally despise. But our source also reveals that the natural world has an entirely different, vastly more diverse definition for this word.
Right. If you step away from the kitchen floor and look toward the aquatic world, roach takes on a completely different biological identity.
It's a fish.
It is a fish, more specifically the common roach, known scientifically as Rudolus rudolus. It's a fish that lives in fresh and brackish water, and it belongs to the family Cyprinidae.
I have to pause you there for a second. Just for those of us who aren't marine biologists, what exactly do we mean by brackish water?
Oh, fair question. Brackish water is essentially the middle ground between freshwater and saltwater.
Like where a river meets the sea.
Exactly. You usually find it in estuaries. So this fish is incredibly adaptable. It can handle that mixed salinity environment without a problem.
Okay, so we have the common roach swim around these estuaries. Is that it? Is it just one isolated species of fish that happens to share a name with a bug?
Not even close. This is a massive global category. There's a whole genus of fishes literally called Rudolus, which are just known collectively as roaches.
Wow.
But the source shows us it doesn't even stop with that one genus. The term roach is applied to members of several other leucicid genera all across the globe.
Okay, another quick definition check. Leucicid, that sounds like a medication or something.
It really does sound like something you'd get a prescription for, but in biology, the leucicids are a specific family of freshwater fish. They are very closely related to true minnows.
Okay, got it.
And within this broad family, the label roach gets applied everywhere. You have the genus Leucos, which is found in southern Europe. You have the genus Sarmarudulus, also swimming around in the streams of southern Europe.
And it jumps continents, right?
It does. Jumping across the Atlantic Ocean, you have the genus Hesperoleucus, which is found all the way over in western North America. The source material also points us to related small fish that fall under this umbrella, like the dace and the shiner.
It is such a stark contrast. On land, the word makes people shudder. It represents something we actively pay exterminators to keep out of our homes.
The ultimate unwanted guest.
Right. But down in the water, The word represents this sprawling, diverse group of aquatic species spanning from the streams of Europe to the waters of North America. It's just a completely standard, neutral classification.
Yeah, a totally different vibe.
It really makes you consider how the exact same phonetic sound, that hard R and that harsh chi at the end, can describe completely unrelated branches of the animal kingdom. You have the Blattidia on one side and the Cyprinidae on the other. Completely different worlds, exact same word.
It highlights the entirely arbitrary nature of common names in biology.
How so?
Well, a scientific Latin name is precise, right? It tells you exactly where a creature fits in the evolutionary tree. But a common name like roach is just a label. It gets stuck to whatever local creature somewhat fits the bill, or it simply inherits the title through generations of fishermen pointing at the water.
Just a localized shorthand.
Exactly, a localized shorthand that eventually just gets codified into the dictionary.
Speaking of localized shorthand, let's move from biology into geography, because this word is physically stamped across the map. I'm going to take you on a bit of a geographical tour right now, because people actually live, or in some cases used to live, in places called Roach.
This is where it gets kind of surreal.
It really does. Let's look at the United States. We have Roach, Missouri, which is an unincorporated community. We also have Roach, West Virginia, another unincorporated community. And then there's Roach, Nevada, which our source lists explicitly as a ghost town.
I think we need to linger on Roach, Nevada for a moment. Just think about the evocative nature of that. A ghost town named Roach.
It really paints a picture.
It carries this almost cinematic, desolate sense of abandonment.
You can almost picture the tumbleweeds blowing through empty dirt streets, the rusted-out saloon doors banging in the wind. But it makes you wonder, who founded a town and decided, yes, Roach, that is the name that will draw in the settlers and build our thriving metropolis?
It's a fascinating question. Often these places were named after a single person, a founder, a postmaster, or a railroad foreman whose last name just happened to be Roach.
So they weren't naming it after the bug.
Right, they were naming it after a guy named Frank or something. But once the town dries up and the people leave, the context entirely evaporates. All that remains is this slightly melancholic, unglamorous word attached to a ruin in the desert. It feels incredibly fitting for a place that time and industry have completely left behind.
But the name doesn't just stick to the dry, dusty land. It actually follows the water, too, which makes perfect sense given our earlier conversation about the fish.
Yep, back to the water.
The source traces the name across multiple flowing waterways. In Maine, located in Piscataquis County, you'll find the Roach River. Down in Virginia, there is another Roach River, which serves as a tributary of the North Fork Rivanna River.
And it crosses the ocean again.
It does. Over in Essex, England, you have the River Roach. So what does this all mean?
It illustrates how names settle into the landscape. Geography acts as a living record of linguistic choices. Sometimes names stick around for centuries, flowing continuously like the River Roach in Essex. Sometimes they fade away into nothing but foundations and memories like the ghost town in Nevada.
And sometimes human history just decides to write over them entirely.
Exactly. We actually have a great example of that from the source material.
We do. Up in Saskatchewan, Canada, Roach was actually the former name of a place now known as the rural municipality of Leroy number 339.
They completely swapped it out.
They did. It's funny to think about what must have happened there. Did the local residents eventually feel so burdened by the name that a place like a Canadian municipality felt forced to rebrand?
It makes you wonder.
You can almost imagine the town hall meeting where they decided that Leroy number 339 was somehow a much better PR move for a rural municipality than Roach.
It shows that place names aren't permanent. They are subject to the whims of the people who live there. If a name hurts tourism or just gets tired, a community will simply erase it from the map and start over.
And it isn't just places that carry this name. It's people, too. Let's look at the real, living individuals who carry this moniker. Our source notes there is an entire directory, a whole list of people who bear the surname Roach.
There are some really notable ones on that list.
There are. A few specific individuals are highlighted. There's the famous celebrity stylist Law Roach. We have an American rapper and hip-hop artist born in 1988 who goes simply by the stage name Roach.
Just Roach.
Just Roach. The source also points out the surname Roach, spelled with an E on the end, which is shared by several notable actors. And then there was a truly fascinating historical entry. A man named Roach Stewart, who lived from 1881 to 1948. And get this, he was both a college football player and an attorney.
The variety of lives lived under this one name is just remarkable. You have an early 20th century college football player arguing cases in a courtroom right alongside a modern hip hop artist and a high fashion stylist.
It proves that a name doesn't dictate your destiny.
Exactly. But when we shift our focus to how the name is utilized in fiction and pop culture, a very different pattern
Yes,
emerges.
absolutely. The fictional applications are incredibly specific. They lean into a very particular vibe. Listen to this lineup from the disambiguation page. You have a fictional character named Roach from the classic 1991 crime action film Point Break.
A great movie.
On a lighter note, there's a character in the animated series Super Noobs, simply named Roach. And then we dive deep into the gaming world. In the sci-fi strategy game StarCraft II, a Roach is a specific, heavily armored alien unit for the Zerg faction.
And it's not just 90s action movies and sci-fi. It crossed over into massive military gaming franchises as well. In Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, there's a playable special operations character named Gary Roach Sanderson.
We also see a significant footprint in the music world. There's the American rock band Papa Roach, who've been a staple of their genre for decades.
A massive band.
And in the realm of classic hip-hop, the source highlights Dr. Dre's iconic 1992 album, The Chronic. The final track on that album is actually titled The Roach, the Chronic outro.
It's worth asking yourself why creators choose this specific name for their characters, their bands, or their songs.
Because it's not an accident.
It's definitely not an accident. Whether it's a bank robber in Point Break, Gary Sanderson in Call of Duty, or an alien unit in StarCraft, the word roach carries an inherent toughness.
It implies survival.
Exactly. It implies grit, being hard to kill, operating in the shadows. It's incredibly memorable precisely because it's a bit abrasive.
It makes you wonder, though, do the creators of StarCraft know they are tapping into the exact same cultural nerve as a 90s hip-hop album? Or is it just a subconscious linguistic shortcut?
That's the question.
You hear the name, and you instantly know you aren't dealing with someone soft or polished. It sounds like what it is.
It's almost certainly a subconscious shortcut. Creators leverage the cultural baggage of that word to immediately tell you something about the character or the music before you even experience it. If a soldier is nicknamed Roach, you instantly understand that his defining characteristic is that he survives things that should kill him.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The word doesn't just stop at gritty pop culture. It finds its way into the most unexpected, highly specialized corners of human activity.
The miscellany.
The miscellany section of this disambiguation page is truly a study in wild contrasts. I want to put two things side by side that our source material lists right next to each other, because it broke my brain a little bit.
Let's hear it.
On one hand, you have a landmark 2007 High Court of Australia case. Its title, Roach v. Electoral Commissioner.
Okay, very serious.
Extremely serious. And on the other hand, just a scroll away, you have a piece of Russian children's literature from 1923 written by a poet named Korny Tchaikovsky titled The Roach, which is sometimes translated as The Giant Cockroach.
That juxtaposition perfectly encapsulates what we were talking about earlier with Wikipedia acting as an archaeological dig. Think about the gravity of the High Court of Australia.
The absolute pinnacle of a nation's judicial system.
Right, dealing with a landmark constitutional case titled Roach v. Electoral Commissioner. You picture the halls of justice, sweeping legal precedents, wigs, robes, and mahogany.
And sharing the exact same digital anchor is a whimsical, rhyming Russian children's poem from the 1920s about a giant insect.
It really highlights how a database flattens hierarchy. International constitutional law and a child's bedtime story weigh exactly the same in the eyes of a search engine. They are just data points sharing a 5-letter string.
And the wildly specific terminology just keeps going. Let's slow down and look at some of these incredibly niche uses of the word because they are fascinating. Let's look at the equestrian world.
Horses.
Horses. If you're grooming horses, roaching is a very specific way of styling the mane of a horse, where it is shaved completely off. Furthermore, a roachback refers to a specific type of conformation, or physical structure, of a horse's back, where it has a convex curvature.
And if you leave the stables and head out to sea, the terminology comes with you, but it changes its meaning entirely. In sailing, a roach refers to an arc of extra material on the leach of a sail.
Wait, for those of us whose nautical experience is limited to watching pirate movies, what part of the sail is the leach?
Ah, right. The leach is simply the back edge of a sail.
The back edge.
Right. It's the trailing edge that catches the windblast. So a roach in sailing is an extra curve of fabric added to that back edge to catch a bit more wind and provide extra power. It has absolutely nothing to do with bugs or fish.
Amazing. Okay, let's dig into the earth. In geology, there is something called Roach stone. It's a specific type of Portland limestone that is characterized by having many fossilized shell fragments embedded right within it. It's used in architecture,
From sails to stone.
from sails to stone. And looking at traditional culture, our source notes that a roach is the name for a traditional Native American headdress, which is usually made out of porcupine hair.
And finally, returning to the realm of recreation and the counterculture we touched on with Dr. Dre's album, a roach is widely known as the term for the butt of a marijuana cigarette.
So we have shaved horse manes, the back edge of a sail, fossilized shells in architectural stone, porcupine hair headdresses, and the end of a joint. It is dizzying how many different things this word means depending on who is saying it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals exactly how specialized communities operate. Sailors, geologists, horse groomers, Native American artisans, cannabis enthusiasts, these groups all develop their own internal languages.
They need specific words for specific things.
Exactly. And what they often do is hijack an everyday word and assign it a highly technical, rigidly defined meaning. That meaning makes perfect sense inside their specific community, but it is completely opaque to anyone outside of it.
It acts as a tribal marker.
A tribal marker, yes. If a geologist talks to a sailor about a roach, they are having two entirely different conversations, and neither of them is talking about the insect on the kitchen floor.
It's a perfect example of how language fragments and specializes. The word roach is like a skeleton key that opens a dozen different locks, but you have to know exactly which door you're standing in front of.
This raises an important question about how we consume information today. We often talk about information overload as this modern horizontal phenomenon.
Like we're drowning in too many articles or too many news feeds.
Right, too many distinct data points scrolling past our eyes. But this disambiguation page shows us that information overload isn't just horizontal, it's vertical.
It's hidden right there inside a single everyday word.
You don't even need to read 100 different articles to be overwhelmed by information. You just have to look at all the secret parallel definitions packed into 5 letters.
Let's take a moment to look back at the sheer scale of the domains of human experience we just crossed, using only one word. We started with the revulsion of biology, the Blatterdia insect, the household cockroach,
The bug we all know.
the bug we all know. Then we immediately washed that away with the Cyprinidae fish, the common roach, swimming through the brackish waters of Europe, alongside its lucigid relatives. We traveled across a map of forgotten ghost towns in the Nevada desert, flowing rivers in Maine, and remembered the town hall meetings of a renamed rural municipality in Canada.
We charted the human element, from an early 1900s college football player practicing law to the fictional grit of characters in Point Break and Call of Duty. We saw the name applied to a Zerg unit in StarCraft II and immortalized in the music of Dr. Dre.
And then we dove into the glorious miscellany, the High Court of Australia sitting right next to a Russian children's poem. We learned the jargon of styling a horse's mane, the aerodynamics of the back edge of a sail, the fossilized shells in Portland roach stone, a traditional Native American headdress, and the butt of a marijuana cigarette. All of it, every single piece of that sprawling mosaic, contained within a single syllable.
It fundamentally changes how you look at the dictionary. The source material we used today was literally just a list of links designed to stop internet users from getting lost.
It's a digital traffic cop.
Exactly.
Right.
But by simply pausing and reading that list, we uncovered an entire cross-section of biology, geography, culture, and highly specialized human endeavor.
It has been an absolute pleasure unpacking this with you today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the surprisingly vast world of the roach.
It was a blast, and I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. We spent all this time looking at how a single, seemingly ugly word can splinter into dozens of different meanings and histories. The next time you use a perfectly mundane word in conversation, ask yourself, if you were to look up its disambiguation page, what ghost towns, forgotten fish, or landmark court cases might you accidentally be invoking?
It's a great reminder that no matter how unique we think our labels are, language has usually been there first. Keep questioning the words you use.